Hello, everybody. It's Gabe Boulanger. I'm glad you joined me. I want to talk about possibly getting a Canadian grant to help your small business. Maybe you're a startup, or maybe you have a business and you just want to grow it or expand it. So, yeah, so I'm just gonna talk about that subject, and hopefully, this is something new and something you can use to help you in your business. I did it myself, and when I did it, I was quite happy with the results. I went through a grant writer, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, so 100,000 plus grant for Canadian startups and small businesses. So this is going to be a really quick guide. I'm not an expert by any means. I'll just go through and let you know a little bit about what I know. So, are you a startup? Do you have a great idea to grow your small business, or maybe even a great idea to start a business? Well, great. The Canadian government wants to give you money for free. Yes, grants. Let me show you how to get a $100,000 plus grant. So, the agenda here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a few of the top grants, according to me. We're going to look at how to quickly find the right grant for you. Maybe the grants I show you don't really apply. And then we're going to figure out, maybe you're too busy. Maybe you don't want to go through the whole time and it takes to get a grant. Now, the problem with grants, the way I see it, or the way I used to see it, is that it's complicated. The government, sometimes they're slow to deal with. I might put in all my time and I might not get anything useful out of it. So I don't know. If I can do this in my business, I know I'm going to get something out of it. If I apply for a grant, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get nothing out of it. So what I really want to emphasize here in this talk is that we can get a grant quickly, and I'm going to guide you through. I think the Canadian government did a really nice job in how they're handling things now. So yeah, if you're busy, you can get an expert to get the funding for you on a contingency. Now, I should correct myself here. When I did it on a contingency, but I think most grant writers, people who get the grants for businesses, I don't think they want to work on a contingency. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. I actually spoke to a person who said no, there's no way he would ever do it. So okay, let's go to our next thing. So please note, I'm not an expert, but I have received two grants, so that's kind of cool. I can give you a little bit of an idea of what happened to me. There are a thousand plus grants available in Canada. Um, all grants I cover are open. That means you can get them, but beware, some of them might be closed. So you might do a lot of research and figure out that it's closed. I'll provide a brief overview of requirements. Some can be really specific. I know a little bit about the fact that some of these grants, the government plan is to get a very specific thing to happen, and then when you apply, they want you to do it in a certain way. So that might make a lot more sense again to get a grant writer because they may already know that stuff. Um, so yeah, so again, I'm going to provide a brief overview of requirements, and some can be really specific, and you wouldn't really know unless you're experienced. And then, are you short on time? Yes, I keep referring to this. Get an expert to do it for you on a contingency. So if you're going to get a lot of grant money, maybe it's worth a few $100s or maybe even thousands. It all depends on what it is. In my case, it was well worth it. One of the grants that I got was to hire a new person to help me as I was growing, and I didn't pay very much for it, and I think I got 80% back from all his labor, and I got it very quickly, which was important to me at the time. So, you know, there's all kinds of different scenarios with the grants, and that's where the expert is very helpful. So let's go on to our next. So part one, the top grants. Now these are, my top grants. They're not, as I'm not an expert, they might not be your top grants. They might be like pretty good, but this is what I came up with for you. So the NRC IRAP. So the NRC has a huge array of grants, and IRAP has a huge array of grants. So the National Research Council Industrial Research Assistance Program is that, and calling that IRAP. So they're kind of a big government body that does this. So what is this grant for? Well, for you. They want you to pursue growth and profit by developing and commercializing innovative technology driven new or improved products, services, or processes in Canada. Now, when we think about that, that doesn't mean it's just technology. It could mean anything. When I'm speaking to my clients, a lot of times the things they want to do have a component of technology and innovation, but it's not purely technology. For example, maybe you just want to you know, um, make your inventory work better. Yes, there's a technology part, but there's also a people part, etc. So that's what you're trying to do there is you're trying to get an innovative technology driven improvement for products, services, or processes in Canada. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to do just a ton of things, give you advice, connections, and funding to help Canadian small and medium sized businesses increase their innovation capacity and take the ideas to market. So the grant money, typically it's around $150,000 from what I could find when I checked. But it could be up to $10 million. You get 80% back on the direct labor, from an employee, and 50% back from a subcontractor expenses on this project. So, if you have like a real expert in a certain area and you just bring them into the project, you're going to get some good value, and maybe you can throw a couple of your employees to bridge the gap and make sure the solution or whatever it is works for your business. So, to me, this makes a lot of sense. The main the main requirements incorporated 500 or fewer employees. Yep, this is for small business. So this is to me this is great. You just need to apply and submit a proposal. Now, this one I think would be a little bit more complicated than most. So let's take a quick look at their website here, shall we? So right now, the support for technology innovation, if we look and scroll down, you can see they offer advisory services. Um, they have financial support for technology innovation, funding to hire young graduates, they just do a lot of different things. It's kind of a big thing to navigate. And the cool thing is you can look at some people's successful track records here. I'm going to get onto that a little bit later. So, in my mind, the Canadian government does a good job. I can remember in the past, I was thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to spend all that time calling people or filling out forms because it might not end up in something I use. So that was a big factor for me. So I think this has really improved. And again, you can also get help. So you tell the grant writer what you're looking for, what you need, and then they'll help you position you. And you're going to have to pay them on an hourly, but it probably makes financial sense. Hopefully, you'll see that as I go through here. So let's go a little bit further in. So one of the success stories of this particular grant was this KidDoodle.tv. So it's a streaming service. Early in 2010s, they used this grant to develop this streaming service, and we can see now they have over 40,000 episodes, and they're in 160 plus countries. I know I have two young kids, and one of them is watching Miss Rachel, and I'm looking at the views and I'm like, oh, 900 million views, and I'm just shocked. So obviously the grant helped them along their way. So that's kind of cool to see. So the next thing, maybe you're interested in people. Maybe you want to have a new person, a new hire, something to help you out there. So IRAP Youth Employment Program. Yep, new hires of intern and co-op students and new grads. So up to 30,000 per graduate for 6 to 12 months. So some of the main requirements, you must find the candidate, you add them as an employee, 15 to 30 years old, no hiring relatives. Your business has to be incorporated with an office space. Some of these requirements I might be a little off on because I pulled them from different sources, and I know the government can change. So just bear that in mind. And the Canada Job Grant. So maybe what you want to do is like help your people get trained better. And of course, you could just combine this by hiring someone and giving them a little bit of training, and then boom, now all of a sudden you have the skill you need. So the Canada Job Grant, each province is a little different, is for training materials for employees. 50 to 100% of training costs, software, textbooks, etc., up to $15,000 per employee. So the Canada Ontario Job Grant, COGJG, training programs delivered in Ontario. That's one of the requirements, and you have liability insurance on it. So that's the kind of requirements. That's what you can get for people. These are just a couple. Um, so then the other one of interest here is CDAP. So CDAP for $2,400. So what do you get? So the Canadian Digital Adoption Program, CDAP. So what's the grant for? It's really to develop a new e-commerce website or functionality. You can do online reservation or booking, ordering systems, electronic payment, search engine. A lot of people are worried about accepting payments over, online on their website, and they should be, because a lot of websites that gets hacked, that's what they're after. They're after credit cards, those kinds of things. So what this thing does is it helps you to add that electronic payment system. So it's a redesign. A redesign of an existing site is not eligible. Includes subscription fees and costs. That's cool. Hire a consultant with digital marketing strategies, e-commerce, social media, advertising, etc. So, as far as I know, this is a very hot area, and I know a lot of companies are thinking, "Oh, I need to do something about social media. I need to get my website improved." So this is kind of cool for that. You must be tied to an overall e-commerce implementation plan, not a standalone item like just Facebook ads. You can also use it to track and manage inventory and sales, market to customers, offer discounts, loyalty program, a whole bunch of stuff. Up to 20% of the total cost of hardware and software, as long as it's directly tied to the sale of goods online. So that's pretty good saving, because, as you know, sometimes these fees are pretty substantial, and 20% of it goes towards that. The other thing to say too, a lot of times in business, we're trying to demonstrate and prove to ourselves like this is worth it. When I started our business a long time ago, I was always asking, where did you hear about us? I would see which marketing areas worked, and then I would just increase in what was working, what advertising was working. So this could be used that way. So you have to be a registered business, accessible by a consumer in person. So that means a storefront or something like that. Minimum of one employee. Maintain the strategy for a minimum of 6 months after the grant. So they're they're really trying to avoid people just using this and abusing this. So that's why they're asking that you use it a little longer, which is fair enough, right? Here's a success story. This lady, she's from North Bay. She set up her flower shop website with e-commerce, so she got the grant. You can actually learn more about these things if you want to look online. So let me just bring that up. So let's switch to that now. I'm just going to go over. Here's the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. And if we scroll down, this is the grant that she got, right? And this is another grant I'm going to cover shortly. But if you want to grow your business online, this is how to do it. Apply in these steps. So you can see they've made it quite good. I must say I'm impressed. I'm comparing to how it had been in the past, right? So CDAP 15,000. So forget about the 2,400. What about 15,000? So the Canadian Digital Adoption Program, CDAP. You develop a digital adoption plan. So this really means you speak to a tech guru, somebody who can look at your entire business and say, well, how do we make this business more digital? And I believe it cuts across a lot of different areas. It's all about looking at your business now, trying to make you more competitive, and then making the plan for it. Um, it's a comprehensive plan, so it has to have things, like costs, etc. But let's face it, this is developed a lot by the person, providing the assessment. So $15,000 to develop a digital adoption plan. So that's pretty cool. They kind of roll this in 100,000 in 0% interest loan to implement, $7,300 to hire a skilled youth to implement as well. So the main requirements: privately owned business, 1 to 499 employees, 500K in revenue in one of the 3 previous tax years. So you can see some of these have requirements. So that's where I keep kind of referring to the idea of getting an expert to help. But you can look it up yourself, and you can get a good sense yourself. And I think the way I did it is I started with an expert, and she kind of just guided me through the whole thing. So that was kind of cool. So there's a provincial plan too, and you should know there's a lot of provincial plans. Some of the Canadian plans are converted into, well, here's the Ontario version of it. So the provincial plan for Ontario is MDAP. So the Ontario Digital Modernization and Adoption Plan, MDAP. You can develop digital adoption plan in your business, develop a plan with an improved digital consultant. Now, I'm an improved digital consultant in this plan, so I could actually help you if you wanted, take advantage of this plan. We would go through, get the grant money from the government and help to improve your business. Um, so 50% of the grant, up to $150,000, up to 20% on software and hardware. So if you think, if you're in the market like, oh, I need to upgrade these computers or get this software or this platform or whatever it is, and it's going to be somewhat expensive, well, you can actually use this grant to fund part of it. And really, IT upgrades and software, those are all about making more money and cutting costs. So it's kind of a win-win in my book. The main requirements of for-profit business, 1 to 499 employees. Once again, this is for small business, so it's kind of great. Revenue of 500K in one of the last 3 tax years. So you have to have some kind of revenue on this plan. So now let's talk about let's talk about getting part two, right grant for me. So let's talk about getting the right grant for you. So this is quite amazing. As you look through there, the Canadian government came up with an awesome way to pick a grant. When I first saw this, I thought it was just like I couldn't believe how easy it was, and I was pretty impressed. So I'm just gonna get it up on my computer so I can show you, and then we can take a look at it. And what the whole idea here is that you just kind of pick what you're looking for on their website, and it works very easy. You can see I made some choices in there, and these choices are, I'm looking for grants and funding, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the actual website, right? So you start out with your story and you just pick it from whatever you want. So maybe you want wage subsidies, maybe you want partnering, maybe you want all support. In my case, I picked grants and funding for my business. More specifically, what amount are you looking for? Oh, all amounts. My main goal is to grow and expand my business, but there's a lot of other things. Sell internationally, hire or train employees. So, I chose grow and expand my business. I thought it was kind of fitting here. We're in, so for me, I would call myself Southern Eastern Region of Ontario, but you can pick the province you're in, all of Canada, fine. And we're in the business of all these different sectors, and they were smart enough to say not sure, which is cool. In this case, I picked the Business Support Administration and Waste Management. More specifically, what kind of business do we do? Well, okay, you can pick whatever you want, what you're looking for. So I'm just going to leave it that way. We have 1 employee. You put the number in, and our annual revenue is in the range of, so you can pick whatever you want here. I just picked the low end to, kind of make it more accessible for people. But obviously, if we pick the higher end or no amount, you can just go there. But this is a little quicker, I thought. We are incorporated or not sure. So again, in this case, I picked incorporated and for profit. You can also pick not for profit. I don't know why you would say not sure. And we're looking for programs that support businesses owned by, and then you can just pick. And you can see there's some pretty awesome things for visible minorities, which is awesome for you if you fall in that category. Finally, show me only programs accepting clients. So a big thing to say here is that we want to make sure that we are careful about, not having um, clients that, sorry, not applying to programs or looking at programs that are not open. So you got to make sure that you watch that, and that's why I chose only programs accepting clients. So when you go through that whole process, then we can see here there's a whole bunch of different grants, and oh, how about this one? IRAP financial assistance. So when I click in there, I can get a quick idea of what it is. It's accepting, and then I can visit the program or I can even call them. Recently, I emailed them and I got an answer pretty quick. So there are all of the grants and funding available. They also include things like loans, capital investments, etc., research and facilities. I looked into this. I'm like, what is this? So when you click on that, you can see um, there are different people that can help you in different ways. Trademarks. So this is kind of like expertise, right? So yeah, so it's not just about the money. Um, so I would definitely say it's a good idea to look into it fully if you have the time, and if you don't have the time, well, part three, save time and enlist an expert. Now, that's what I did. I was very apprehensive about joining and trying to get a government grant because I heard and I figured I might have trouble getting the government grant because they have all these rules and I have to fill out forms and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to put all the time, might not get anything out of it. And I don't have a lot of time. So I met someone who actually was a grant writer, and I told her what I wanted, really specific. How long, how much money, how quick I get the money from the grant, what it was for, specifically what it was for, and then what ended up happening. I was in the middle of hiring someone, and we just streamlined this person to the grant, and the government was very cooperative. In this case, it was the Ontario government, and they just kind of let me hire this person, a new person, and they paid, I believe it was 80% of the wage. So that was kind of cool for me. So get a grant writer. So what's a grant writer? Well, Bill, really, it's just a person who knows about Canadian grants, who works with you and tries to, get the grant for you. So why do you want to do this? Well, you can save time in picking the right grant, the application process, and getting accepted. There is a strategy involved. So, just like anything else, if you're trying to navigate through something complicated, why not just go with someone who's been there before? And literally 5-minute conversation with a good grant writer, probably going to give you a few options that are likely to work, and you just pick one. So, and that's how it happened with me. There is a bit of time spent doing the application. You have to do something, but it's not much. So what? So discuss the type of grant you need, for what purpose, and then apply with a high likelihood of success. So that's what you do when you get a grant writer. You just discuss it with them, go into detail, and then you're going to get lined up with a grant you're probably going to get. So how much does it cost? Well, I said before about contingency. Most grant writers don't want to work on contingency, so 50 to $125 per hour, depending on experience. I was speaking to a grant writer recently. He was really excited about the fact that he would never work on a contingency unless there was a really complicated proposal. And by the time you do that proposal, you may as well just apply for the grant. So in my mind, I think paying a grant writer a certain amount of money per hour makes sense. If you're going to get $10,000 and pay, $350 for it, well, then it makes good business sense, especially if it's strategically going to help your business. So, how do you start? Well, you can apply online, for example, to MentorWorks. Now, MentorWorks is a place that I checked online when I was doing my research, and they have a huge amount of information. So, I think it's only fair for me to mention them. So, with MentorWorks, you're able to kind of see and get a lot of good information on how this works. So this is what they do. They help people get grants. So get funding help. There's a lot of news and stuff here. Funding updates. I actually subscribe to this because one of the grants I want is closed, but it might reopen. So it just goes into a lot of information. But the part I like is you click get funding help and you fill out the form and they're going to help you with it. So this is the grant writer I'm referring to. And in this case, it's mentorworks.ca. So, that would be the last part of my talk here is to get a grant writer. So, in doing all of that, I hope that this has been helpful to anybody out there. And if anyone has any questions, you can just let me know. You can comment now, or you can always, you know, comment later on this video in social media, and we'll get back to you and we'll try to answer you. As I said, I am an approved consultant for the Ontario digital adoption plan. So if you had some kind of assistance that you needed in that area, I can help you, move that forward. And just in general, try to be a resource to you. Not that I'm a grant writer or I know anything about it, but I'd like to. I do know something about it, but I'd like to just kind of point you in the right direction to help your business. So, unless anybody has any comments, I could probably just end it here. Um, so I think, yeah, I said hi. So that's about it, and I don't really see any comments. So I just wanted to say thank you for spending the time with me, and I really hope you find it useful. I'm going to have links to a lot of the resources I was mentioning, so you can just go to the description of this event. It's not there now, but I'll have that soon. And then you know what? Maybe I should just move it in there. So let me move all those links in there now, so that you have them and maybe you can make some use out of them. I did not put this in the description originally because I kind of developed it just before I did this talk because I'm that kind of person where I want to come up with something as good as I can. So I kind of leave it to the last minute. Okay, you know what? That's not going to work. The links are not working for the most part, but at least in the comments here, I put in some of the information and some of the names of the programs. But later on, we're going to put the links in the description of the video. So if you come back later, you'll see it. Or if you just want to ask me something later, then that's good. So I just want to thank you for your time and good luck. I hope if you have a startup and you're trying to improve your business, um, or launch your business with the startup, that you think about the grant seriously. And again, if you're going to pay for Facebook ads or you're going to pay for, various things, getting a grant is probably a good investment. So hope you have a good day. Take care.